And so my video might be the only one that's telling you not to buy it. Do y'all like my shirt? I'm just out here trusting God. That's really it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gabby. This week, the video is a little bit different from my normal content. Usually my content is surrounded about frugal living and simplifying things, budgeting, minimalism, all that kind of realm of just living a more content, happy life with less. If you didn't watch last week's video, this is kind of following up on that. Last week, I did a check-in on our 2026 low buy rules for the year. So one of the things on that list had been no new hobbies, no spending money on anything that I didn't already have an interest in. This way I could, in theory, save money. Well, that's not how the year went. In March, I left my corporate job and in April decided to purchase a 3D printer in an effort to start my own small business where I thought I was gonna, create things and then end up selling them online. You might be here because you're a fan of the channel, or you might just be here because you saw the title and the thumbnail and thought, I'm looking to buy a 3D printer and I wanna know all the information before I get one. And so my video might be the only one that's telling you not to buy it, okay? And here's the deal. You might still qualify. It might still work for you. Please don't come for me in the comments like, actually, I own a 3D printer. It's the best thing ever. You're just an idiot. Because, yeah, maybe I am. It just didn't work for me. And so I want you to have all the facts before you go out and spend $500 plus on a 3D printer and think it's going to change your life. I do have a reference here on my iPad, so if I'm looking over this way, that's what I'm looking at because I have a lot of bullet points and information and I want to make sure I get all of this in the video. I decided to buy a 3D printer because the TikTok algorithm was really good and brought me to it. I started watching a ton of videos on TikTok about people printing things and selling them or just printing cool gadgets for the house. And I decided to do a deeper dive on YouTube and research 3D printers. I watched a bunch of videos that were all super positive, okay? Everybody was basically like, it was super easy to set it up out of the box. I was able to make $5,000 in my first 6 months of owning a 3D printer. Here's how I scaled my business. I decided to purchase the P1S Bamboo Lab printer. I decided to go with this printer because I figured invest in a little bit of a higher price point for the printer, one that was totally enclosed to protect it from dust and debris. And I had a friend who owns the A1, I think it is, and he had said, if you have the money and you're going to use it long term, shoot for the P1S. So I made the purchase and I spent probably over $600 on the initial purchase of this P1S. I bought the P1S and it comes with the AMS system. The AMS allows you to link 4 filaments at once to the printer. So if you want to make a 3D print with multiple colors, you don't have to go manually change the filament out, it does it for you. I was thinking I could create, print, and sell my own designs. There is something called Maker World or Maker Lab, I forget exactly, I'll put it down below. And that is an app where you can go and download other people's files and print them. But you either have to buy the rights to be able to sell them or they're just for private use. So my idea was I'm gonna create like personal new designs. That was a joke. And then sell those on like Etsy. My printer arrived fairly quickly, but I had trouble from the start. Troubleshooting and trying to set this thing up was not as easy as 1, 2, 3. Most people were like, oh yeah, I just plugged it in and it started working. For some reason, my AMS was not reading to the printer. So the printer couldn't tell that the AMS was hooked up. I probably spent like 2 hours trying to set up the printer and immediately was super frustrated. What ended up occurring was I think the AMS cable was plugged in backwards. Like one side was supposed to go into the printer, one side was supposed to go into the AMS. They look exactly the same, but it turned out I had flipped that cable. So eventually I flipped it back and I fixed it. So once I got the AMS sorted, everything was good. For about 3 weeks, I was able to print things. Now I quickly learned that I could not create. It's a lot more Maker World. I don't know what application I was trying to use, but they recommend some. And I joined a bunch of Facebook groups, which I highly recommend, 3D printing Facebook groups, because for the most part, people are pretty helpful and there's a lot of information in those groups. So I joined a bunch of those groups and they shared which apps to use to create. And I started trying to create my own prints. It was way more difficult than I expected, and this is coming from someone who's pretty tech savvy. If you don't know, my background's all in production and editing, so I'm used to using a computer, I'm used to editing video, audio, that sort of thing, but I've never been like engineering and building, right? So that's the piece of tech that I didn't have and I didn't know how to do. So eventually I resorted to, let me just start with printing other people's prints for my personal use. We got a really cool handle for our vacuum. I printed a business card holder. I even printed like a crock for the kitchen, you know, different things like that. So once I got my feet wet a little bit, I ordered some new filaments. I used ones from both Bamboo Labs and Amazon, and they both seemed to work fine. I was always using PLA, standard matte PLA. Out of nowhere, about 3.5 weeks in, the printer failed. And that's where the issue started, okay? The print was coming out where the first layer or two would print fine. And then after a while, at some certain height, it would start to get stringy and webby, spider webby, and just kind of fail at the print. I tried to talk to the Facebook groups, and they can be a great tool, but they can also be full of people with different opinions, and some people are not very nice. So of course, some people are just like, yeah, you're an idiot, you need to dry your filament. And other people were like, hey, try, you know, it might be heat creep, so try the door, try this, try that. I tried several things, right? I tried to clear the clog, which was terrifying, by the way. People tell you it's so easy because you just plug and play. No, working on the printer, you have to work on the printer and you have to like maintain it. And so if it gets clogged, you have to like push the filament through, set the temperature to a certain thing, take a needle, poke it up in the, like I was worried I was gonna break the printer. And apparently on the videos online, people do it in different ways. So like one way I did it, then there was comments like, this is how you break your printer. And I'm like, oh great, so I'm breaking the printer. I got so frustrated, I just kind of like put my hands up. Here's the problem. I put my hands up, I was outside of that 14-day return window. And because they're in China, Bamboo Labs, they have no phone number for support. So you can't call and they can't troubleshoot you right on the spot. You have to email and then wait like 8 hours. They email you back and they give you a solution. And then if it doesn't work, you email them again and then they email you another solution. So I just got very frustrated because they tried to advise me that it could be heat creep and clogs, which were things I already tried to fix. It could have been also that the room was hot and humid. So the filament, if it gets wet, that can also cause issues. So I just got so frustrated. I literally wanted to throw the printer out the window. And I was like, I'm done. I'm so sick of this. Just take it back. And Bamboo was like, nope, sorry, it's outside of the window, so you're gonna have to just put up with us troubleshooting until we figure it out. This was the moment I made the decision that this 3D printer was not for me, and I was gonna take a loss on it to get rid of it. So I posted it on Facebook for $500, and it was probably like $700, $750 worth of equipment. The printer itself, the AMS, a bunch of filament. If anybody's watching this and they have a printer, they would be like, wow, that's a killer deal for something that's probably an easy issue to fix. I'm very honest, okay? I'm a Christian, I believe in honesty, and even though people are not trustworthy in today's world, I will trust you until you give me a reason not to. So when it comes to Facebook listings, I'm very open and honest. And I said in the description look, here's the deal. I bought this printer new. I've been having tech issues. It's got heat creep or a clog or something that I can't figure out and I don't have the patience for it. So I'm selling it at a $200 discount with all the equipment included because I just don't want to deal with it. Within a week, a woman reached out to me and she was planning on driving an hour to me to pick up the printer. And I told her, like, are you new at this? Because I think the person who should buy this printer should have some experience with the printers because there are some tech issues to work through. She basically said, no, but I think I have the time to figure it out. I want to purchase this from you, but I live an hour away. If it doesn't work or I can't figure it out, she said something like, can I buy it for $400? And then if I can get it working, I'll send you the last 100. If not, I bought it for $400, it's my problem. I said, you know what? Whatever, I will get rid of it. But then I guess somebody she knew who had a printer said, hey, I would not recommend buying that one. I would just go for one with no issues. So First Lady bails and it's online for a week or two. And I go, you know what? Forget it. I just want to get rid of this thing. I post it. I lower the price to $400. I still have the caveat of it's not working. And then I started trying to work with the printer again. And I opened the doors like they suggested. I reset it and cleaned the filament out of it and whatever. And I think I printed 1 or 2 items and they were working. So now I'm like, oh, is it fixed? Do I want to just keep it? Like maybe it was just a humidity issue. Maybe it was how hot it was in the house. I don't know. So then somebody reached out and said, I'd be interested. Would you be willing to do 300? And I said, look, no, at this point, the printer's kind of working again. I don't want to waste that. I don't want to lose that much money. I'll just keep it. After another week, again, issues started happening to the prints. At this point, I was just really, really angry, and anger is something I struggle with. I understand that. God's working on it with me, but I just said, for my mental health, I need to get rid of this thing. And if I take a loss on it, then I take a loss on it. I have come to learn that money comes and goes, and if I make a mistake, I pay the price and I learn from it. We lost some money on our RV when we sold it last year. I've lost money on vehicles that I've purchased. It's just the name of the game. We lose money sometimes and we move on. So I ended up reaching back out to him and I was like, look, the printer is still having these issues. I'd be willing to let go of it for $300 if you just take it off my hands. And he was like, absolutely. So we met up a couple days later and I gave him everything and he paid me $300. So I probably lost $400 to $450 on this experiment. Just be aware before you buy that you should be tech savvy and that you need to have a lot of patience. And you might not have this experience. You might buy your printer and have absolutely no issues. Maybe my apartment is very, very humid, and so that's why I was having so many problems throughout the summer, right? Maybe it would have changed in the fall and the winter, because it seemed like one of the issues was heat creep, was what people kept saying it was, which meant the nozzle was getting too hot inside of the printer, and that's what was causing the issues. The YouTube videos online make it seem so easy, and everybody's touting how you can just become a professional 3D printer like that, and it's really not always the case. And so I just wanted to make this video for you in case you're considering it, to see it from all angles before you make that investment. But if you're still interested in buying one, Facebook Marketplace might be a great way to get a good deal on a used one, because there's probably other people out there like me who bought them, got frustrated with them, or got bored with them and then decided to just sell them for a better price. Lastly, I purchased the printer with the idea that, like, instead of purchasing what I needed, I could just print it. It turns out it's just easier for me to go online and purchase the item if I really need it. I'm happy to support other small businesses. And one other thing that I sort of recognized through this whole journey is that when I quit my corporate job, I was immediately like, what can I do to make money, right? And I kind of spread myself super thin. I was like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start my own video editing business. I'm also gonna go ahead and start printing and selling 3D merch. I'm also gonna go ahead and start making, stickers and bumper stickers and selling them on Etsy. I'm also gonna do this and that and that. And I was stretching myself to like 10% on each individual thing. And after about a month, I went, this is not working. I need to just focus on the one big thing that I want to put my time and energy into, which is this YouTube channel. So with that, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's helped you. Comment down below if you have a 3D printer and you've had a better experience, or if this video has helped you at all in your search to buy a 3D printer. And yeah, have a blessed week, and I'll see you next Saturday.